This episode is a deep dive into what mindful writing is, and also what it is not. What happens when we create the way worldwide bestsellers Eckhart Tolle and Elizabeth Gilbert do? Listen to find out why mindful writing is where all the energy and fun is. Plus, learn 3 powerful mind shifts to begin your mindful writing practice. I'm Suzanne, Alyssa, Andrew, and this is Stardust and Courage, the podcast where we use writing, curiosity, and imagination to see beyond challenges and make life more meaningful. It's mindful writing to go deeper, grow, and imagine. And I'm so very glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, when I enrolled in Eckhart Tolle's Intensive Becoming a Teacher of Presence course last year, I didn't expect it to be a master class in writing. But during his talks, Eckhart shared a lot about his writing process, and I, of course, wrote it all down. The funniest part about it is that he doesn't really do deadlines, to the irritation of his editors. I learned a lot about writing from presence, and I also enjoy what Elizabeth Gilbert has to say about the creative process of writing. I've watched at least a dozen interviews with her online over the years. She was also candid enough in one of her interviews to say her grammar and spelling is often messy. I thought that was funny too, because it really debunked my limiting beliefs of writing mastery and perfection. As Marie Forleo says, it's about progress, not perfection. And I'll add that when it comes to writing, it's about impact more than perfection. Most importantly, what I realized about writing while listening to Eckhart and Liz talk is that the real writing power is all in the energy and intention. And when I thought about my writing projects and books I felt good about versus the ones that weren't working out, I saw that the ones I developed mindfully with energy and intention felt fantastic no matter the outcome. And the ones I was writing from ego to prove something felt like deflated balloons. Particularly a novel I had edited and contorted to suit the whims of an agent who never really understood my intention and wanted to change it. I totally believe in editing to make something better. But if you're working with somebody who has a different idea of what your project is than what you have, that's a serious communication issue. And veering away from the book's purpose and intention sucked the life out of it. I felt much better about sharing the joy-filled projects. That led to an aha moment for sure. And this is how I started developing my mindful writing methodology. The energy and intention you put on the page matters. People can feel it. And that's what resonates. So whether or not it becomes a bestseller, the impact that your writing has from writing mindfully is much bigger. Why not see what happens when you write mindfully? Let's get into it. First off, what do I mean when I talk about mindful writing? Getting clear on the definition is super important because there are different definitions online, and it's also similar to something called meditative writing. When I talk about mindful writing, what I mean is a combination of 3 elements. The first one takes you deeper into your writing practice, and that's the creative spirit. Or if you prefer, it's the same thing as Eckhart Tolle's presence or Elizabeth Gilbert's big magic. It's really the creative juice and the creative well of where your inspiration comes from. And that's very personal to you. But there is something really transformative if you lean into that intuition spark or creative energy. It really feels like energy. And that's where also the flow is. So the second element that combines with the creative spirit is growth. And to me, this is the drive to understand the human experience via personal development and psychology. In literature, we used to talk so much more about writing being the way to discover and uncover and explain the human condition. The drive to understand the human experience is an essential part of making literature and writing of all forms that's memorable and that will last. And the third element is imagination. That takes the form of creative writing across all genres and forms, including fiction, prose, poetry, songwriting, playwriting, screenplay writing, essays, journaling, and free flow writing. So mindful writing goes deeper, helps you grow, and you imagine what's possible. It's also an invitation to slow down and luxuriate in the writing process, where all the energy and fun is. When we write mindfully, we can find out what happens when we drop the ego, so that's hustling, performing, and proving, and create from wisdom, play, purpose, and generosity instead. So to illustrate all this visually, if you're a visual person, I made a Venn diagram that's on the homepage of my site at suzanneandrew.com. Making a Venn diagram is pretty exciting, so I was glad to do that. So let's get into why it matters. Why is mindful writing so important? I'm taking a new course with Eckhart Tolle this year, and he's very clear that whatever you're doing, enjoy the process and learn to enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Because egoic, negative doing never feels good and is more likely to manifest negative outcomes. We live in an egoic culture, so egoic books can become bestsellers, but it won't last. Enduring legacy writing taps into something universal and memorable. So you have to think of the impact you want to create with your writing. And another important thing is that in mindful writing, you are always learning and growing. And you learning and growing betters society no matter what the publishing industry says about it. In mindful writing, we're always winning and benefiting. It lights us up. And when we're lit up, we can help light up the people around us and light up the world. There's a reason why I called my major course the Sparkle Technique. It's that inspiration and light from within that can make a difference and make a huge impact. And by tapping into the energy of mindful writing, we have the courage to say something and we can grow. And by tapping into the power and energy of mindful writing, we're tapping into our own power. Let's talk about what mindful writing is not. And these are all hard lessons that I had to learn. The first thing that it isn't is performance. Performance is trying to be something you're not to fit culture, and culture rewards and assumes performance. But mindful writing is about authenticity, and it takes courage to be authentic in a world that's constantly rewarding performing. And personas, especially in the social media era. But authenticity really sparkles, especially on the page. Another thing mindful writing is not is about pushing. Pushing really hard to keep writing and writing and writing is draining and leads to burnout. I used to do writing quotas and word count targets for my writing. But what I found made a vast difference is just setting appointments for writing. Mindful writing shows up and allows flow. It doesn't cause you stress. You don't have to feel stressed to write. And as someone who started my career in journalism with deadline stress, that was a pretty difficult lesson to learn. And when I write without that pressure and stress, it's far more creative and interesting. Another thing that mindful writing is not is proving. I've been definitely guilty of trying to prove things through writing. only to find out that it's a bit of a fool's errand because essentially really no one else cares as much as you do, which can be a bit of a letdown. It's far more empowering to write from a sense of purpose in sharing, a sense of wanting to understand, than it is to write from proving. Even when you're writing an essay, it's more purposeful and more mindful to be sharing a point of view than it is trying to be right and prove that you're right. In essence, all good writing is exploring what's possible, and readers can decide what is true for them. Another thing that mindful writing is not is ego-driven. Ego-driven writing and creativity is limited. It's got a very limited scope of perspective. Whereas writing from that creative spirit and creative spark is limitless and gives you a much bigger, expanded point of view. So, as promised, let's get into the 3 powerful mind shifts to begin your mindful writing practice. Let's take a present moment break first. To be grounded in the here and now, look around you and notice 3 colors. I see a turquoise plant pot, a green rubber ball, and a pink circle on a painting. Take some great big breaths in and out from your belly. Then release all the air in your diaphragm with a big ah out loud. That was great. Now we're ready for the mind shifts. The first one is really big and is to focus on the writing process, not the outcomes. In this fame-obsessed culture and pressure from the industry to write bestsellers, this is really, really hard to do. But if we focus on the time containers we have for our writing and enjoy every minute of it, we're already winning no matter what happens. And that builds this incredibly powerful momentum with our writing. And what we're writing begins to resonate more and more with us. The more it resonates with us, the more it will resonate with others. That's why what Eckhart Tolle writes and what Liz Gilbert writes are always bestsellers. It's that resonance. That's what can happen when you focus on the writing process and not the outcomes. The second mind shift is to learn to enjoy writing. Part of the writing community and culture is to complain constantly that writing is hard and writing is difficult. But by repeating over and over that you hate writing, it's just infusing your writing with negativity that you don't need and that will hold you back and create blocks. So see how you can write and enjoy what you're writing. Enjoy the process. It might not come right away, but when you start noticing that time is falling away, time isn't as important and you're in flow, joy is on the horizon. And start feeling good about what you write at the end of your writing session or writing day. Think about how well you dove into something meaningful and purposeful and have a sense of satisfaction. The more you're aware of the sense of satisfaction and the possibility of satisfaction, the more you can lean into joy. So learning to enjoy writing can be a process, but you can do it. And I'm here to help you with that. I can coach you through that. The third mind shift is to write with purpose and a genuine desire to share. This is where the energy and authenticity is. When you genuinely want to share what you write, the numbers don't really matter. It's more about impact. And impact is infinitely more meaningful. Impact is definitely what really matters. Impact is what leads to transformation in your life and in others' lives. And as a bonus mind shift, a sense of humor or non-serious play really helps. I have a tendency to be quite serious, but whenever I lean into the non-seriousness of writing and the play of writing, my writing is better. So that's definitely something to try. A very easy way to begin to write with a sense of play this week is to write with fun colors of pens and fonts. At the moment, I'm writing my handwritten notes with a green pen, and on my computer, I write with turquoise or purple fonts. Whenever this gets tired, I'll choose other colors. And whenever I send anything to an editor or a colleague, I can always change it back to basic black. If you want to work on these 3 mind shifts a little bit more and go deeper into them, I have some places open for Story Gem coaching this fall. To get on the waiting list, just go to my website. So we covered a lot of really important ground today. And let's recap. When I talk about mindful writing, what I mean is the combination of 3 elements. Going deeper through the creative spirit, or if you prefer, Eckhart Tolle's presence or Elizabeth Gilbert's big magic. Growing, the drive to understand the human experience by a personal development in psychology. And imagination, creative writing across all genres and forms, including fiction, prose, poetry, songwriting, playwriting, screenplay writing, essays, journaling, and free-flow writing. It's also an invitation to slow down and luxuriate in the writing process, where all the energy and fun is. Write mindfully to find out what happens when we drop the ego of hustling, performing, and proving, and create from wisdom, play, purpose, and generosity instead. I hope this episode helps you feel more open and accepting of the creative power you have as a writer and the impact you can have when you write mindfully. And it's not hard. In fact, it's way easier than trying to push and perform from the ego. I know you can do it, and I'm here to help. Subscribe to or follow this podcast so you never miss an episode. And share this podcast with a friend. Sending you stardust and courage until next time.